So you hear Republicans on TV complaining that people getting $600 a week are getting too much money because it's more than they make. Shouldn't they be making more? Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Paul in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, Paul, $600 a week.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say about that is, they've been saying that people are being overpaid with $600 a week. But if you think about it, on a 40-hour week, $600 a week is $15 an hour. And
right.
In fact, that most people that are out of work are in that $14, $15, $16 range. And yeah, sure, people who are working for minimum wage in some of these red states would be getting more than they would working. But if you didn't have it that high, the people who are making more money wouldn't have enough. And I think that's what they are really counting on, is that, the whole thing, that a very annoying interview with that Stephen Moore is, and I won't go into my impressions of him, but let me just use this. Lincoln's syllogism. Remember, you can fool all of the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Right.
It's catching up with them. Yeah, and there's a meta story here, Paul, that I think is if the Democrats thought this through strategically in advance, is brilliant. If they didn't, it was accidentally brilliant. And that is that if you've got 25 million people who are getting $600 a week, or even 20 million, I've heard different numbers. You get 25 million people getting $600 a week. In other words, $15 an hour. Many of them not previously earning $15 an hour. Those people are now suddenly discovering how their life changes when they make a living wage. And it's going to be really hard to go back from that, just like retired people getting Social Security. Their lives, this obviously happened back in the 1930s, but we went from old people being the highest level of poverty in the United States to being the lowest level of poverty in the United States in a generation. And these people are I think, this experience of what basically $15 an hour, $600 a week means, in terms of actual lived experience, I think this is going to make it really, really difficult for employers going forward to continue offering crap low-wage jobs, particularly when those jobs involve contact with the public.
Well, correct. You pointed out, Tom, that if there are people who are staying home, getting unemployment, are making more than construction workers, then we got a wage problem with construction. And in fact, we got a wage problem with most of the lower earning segment of the workforce. And let me finish up with what I was going to say about Lincoln's syllogism, is that we always think that you can't fool all the people all the time is the really, that was such a brilliant, grand proposition. But no, it's actually the minor proposition, the one that says you can fool some of the people all the time. That is right.
That's what the Republicans are counting on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Stephen Moore, Tom, look at this. That's why this guy is such a huckster. Tom, he's talking about cutting the payroll tax. But you know what, Tom? If it was in Trump's best interest, if he wasn't floundering so terribly in the polls, if it was in their best interest to keep the kids home from school, they would do that, because what they really want, they also want to destroy the public schools. And that's what we're doing.
You know what just hit me, Paul? And I don't know why I didn't think of this when I was talking to Stephen Moore. He wants to take the payroll tax, end the payroll tax right now, replace it with the general fund. And this is the holy grail of the Republicans since the Reagan administration. Reagan proposed this, and Patrick Moynihan blocked it, said, we're not going to do that. But Reagan said, instead of having a separate Social Security trust fund so that we can, know how healthy the system is and they can't be means tested or anything like that, it doesn't become a welfare program, we're going to have it be a standalone program. And Reagan wanted to move the Social Security trust fund into the general fund so that when times are tight, the government could say, we're going to have to cut back on Social Security payments because that's part of our austerity program. Right now, they can't legally do that. If Stephen Moore and his buddies can get the Social Security trust fund to be funded, as he said, with treasuries from the general fund, in other words, funded with the general fund, and then, for a year or two, and then make that permanent, they will have turned Social Security from what it is right now, a so-called earned benefit, an entitlement. They will have turned it from that into a welfare program, which they can then begin to cut. This is step one. It just friggin' hit me.
And you were saying that lastly, I want to finish up. You were saying, what is the effect of the virus going to be? I think it will be a long-term contraction of the workforce and contraction of the economy as we discover while we're staying home how many things we don't need. And I mean, for instance, I haven't gone out to the brew pub in 6 months. I haven't had a beer in 6 months, Tom. I've saved a lot of money, and I've probably put some brewers out of business. No, not kidding, but
my credit card bill is a third of what it was 6 months ago because we're not going out, we're not buying things.
What they're looking for, Tom, is to find out what things we don't need because you're staying home, and the contraction will continue, and they'll just keep cutting, and they'll just say, hey, we don't need the commons. We don't need, you know what I'm talking about. They will cut as many things as it is politically opportune to do, and if it were in Trump's best interest to keep the kids home from school, he'd be saying that too.